Texting and driving has become one of the most dangerous ways to travel on the road. The lack of awareness not only puts the driver in risk, but everyone on the road. According to distraction.gov, in 2012, an estimated 421,000 people were injured in motor vehicle crashes involving a distracted driver. Some of that 9% increase from 2011 can be attributed to more vehicles being on the road and the impact social media has had on society. State Trooper for over 24 years, Lieutenant Don Boschers of the Tennessee Highway Patrol, took the time out to discuss the dangers of texting and driving and more important information you should be aware of.
Well, texting and driving is a big problem. Everybody does it. You know, it's hard to enforce, but it's a big problem. It's becoming just about as bad as impaired driving. You know, technology today, you know, smartphones, computers, it's a huge problem in our not only in our area here, but statewide and across the nation. Some of the, you know, somebody that's driving, I'll use the term driving distracted, whether it be texting, eating, they give off some of the same signals that an impaired driver will. They'll slow down, speed up, they'll drift a little bit in their lane, you know, or they may even abruptly change lanes. And, you know, the problem is unless I actually see you with, you know, the phone up, texting, I can pull you over or stop you, make a traffic stop based on what I use weaving in the lane. And if I ask you, have you been drinking? You say, well, no, I don't drink. I say, okay, was you texting? And if you say no, I can ask you to see your phone, okay? I say, do you mind if I look at your phone? And if you say, no, I don't have a problem at all, and you hand it to me, that's fine. If you tell me, no, I don't want you to look at my phone, I have no legal grounds to make you let me look at it. Okay? Texting or driving distracted is a misdemeanor, which means it has to happen in my presence. So if I can't see you doing it, I can't prove you doing it. You know, if Tennessee ever became a hands-free state, which I think they will soon, it's a lot different. If you've got the phone in your hand, regardless of whether you're texting or fixing to make a call, it'll be a violation of the law. But the way it reads right now, I have to actually see you text to enforce that law. It varies. I mean, you know, I drive a marked unit, and usually what people will do is if they see me coming up, they'll kind of hold it down in their lap, and you can't see below the window frame, you know, car to car. We do have some unmarked cars. It's a little bit easier in an unmarked car because they don't see the black and tan, they don't see the light bars, and their guard may be down. And you see it all the time. But I have seen it in my marked car. I have come up beside people and looked over at them, and they've got the phone up here texting, and they look at me and they're like, oh, you know. Frequency-wise, it's hard to put a number on it, but it happens a lot. Well, it's actually in the legislature now, the bill is. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it'll pass or not, of course, that remains to be seen, but I think eventually it will be. It's already against federal law for commercial vehicles, tractor and trailers, to use the cell phone. They have to be hands-free. And usually when the federal government passes a law on that type of vehicle, the states will follow suit on every other type of vehicle. So it's a coming. As far as being ready, yes. I mean, you know, we'll enforce it just like we do everything else. When the texting law became law, we gave a grace period where we just wrote warnings. And that'll probably happen this time. It depends on what our leaders in Nashville think, but we'll give you a grace period. If we see you, we'll stop you. Say, you know, this is against the law now, you know, don't do it again, give you a warning ticket, but after that grace period, we'll begin issuing citations for it, just like we ever do every other state law. Now what I do in my unit in the education side is I talk to a lot of parents, I talk to a lot of teens, and I'll tell them, you know, set up some kind of signal, you know, send me 2 real quick. If you send 2 real quick, I don't have to look at them, I know it went off. That tells me there's an emergency. Or pull over, you know. There's so many places that you can pull over to, you know, in business, parking lot, take the text, do what you need to do, and then be on your way. But state law doesn't give any leeway as to whether it's an emergency or not. It's strictly against state law to do it. Average-wise, it takes 4.6 seconds for you to either send or receive and read a text. Of course, if it's one word, it might be a little shorter, but that's an average. Also, on top of that, it takes the average person almost 2 seconds to react to something they see. And, simple terms, if you're driving down the road, and you see something happening in front of you, somebody cuts you off, stops. On average, it takes you 2 seconds for your brain to say you've got to do something. If you add those together, that's nearly nearly 7 seconds. And if you're driving 55 miles an hour, you're going to travel over the length of a football field. So if you think about it in those terms, you're going to put your head down and you're going to drive over 100 yards without looking up. And if you put it in realistic terms, think of everything that can happen in that 100 yards. 100 yards is a long ways. So that's why it's so important to not text.
Now, Lieutenant Boshers went on to say that the Tennessee Highway Patrol will continue to have programs to increase the awareness about the dangers of texting while driving, and to also expect a more serious approach to crack down on drivers who seem to be distracted. For more updates, be sure to visit tn.gov/safety. This has been Alfred Teleferro, TVC News.